Hey, good morning. It's Dr. Bob Flower, and this is our Monday, January 23rd Master Pattern Report. Um, Before we go any further, I want and start talking about our economics. I want to bring your attention to something that I think is rather critical. There's a conference going on in Europe, sponsored by the World Economic Forum. And I just want to quote to you something that the president, Klaus Schwab, had to say at that conference. We are in an era of profound change that urgently requires new ways of thinking. So far, I'm with you, Klaus. Capitalism in its current form has no place in today's world. Um, this sounds like the start of a major move towards social democracy. Is that the new term? Um, and I wonder. I've been thinking about this because I can see historically that this is where we are at our time in the world, and that there are some attempts to make changes. And granted, there are changes that are needed, but I have some problems with what's going on here. One of them, of course, is the sense of responsibility that people refuse. Many people, not everybody, refuse to accept in the world today. I mean, what's going on in Europe is a reflection of that lack of responsibility, of social fiber, of integrity, of dealing with pain and setbacks in a traditional, virtuous manner. Those things are not happening. I'm sorry. It's this me or X generation that is causing this new look at the way we do things. And which is always fine. We need to change. We need to evolve. We can't stay static, and things need to. But we can do this within given framework. For instance, the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and the Bill of Independence. These are principles that forsake any issues that one may have throughout the ages. These sometimes, once in a great while in history, there are discoveries that make life a lot easier in the sense of we don't have to constantly go through this process of trying to reinvent the wheel, right? And our Constitution is one of the greatest documents that was ever created. The problem is not the Constitution, as some will have you believe, and the former president, I'm sorry, the current president would have us believe. That's a Freudian slip, by the way, the former president. Um, it's not the Constitution, it's the people. And once again, here I go again, saying that we're not doing enough, and we're not. I'm sorry. We need to fight harder for those things that are important not only to us but to our ancestors and to our descendants. And further, to change the rules midstream is very dangerous. I'm going to tell you right now, especially in America, because America, unlike any other country, maybe with the exception of Australia, you don't fool with changing major rules because you gave them guns, all right? And I'm not suggesting that we go out and we start shooting representatives and things like that at all. But you know what? There are certain mindsets in this country where you tell them that, okay, you've worked for 20, 30, 40 years and you've followed the rules and you've accumulated $50,000, $100,000 in your savings, $200,000, whatever it is. But now, I'm sorry, we have to change the rules, and you lose. This money is going to be confiscated, taxed at a incredibly, before it was tax exempt or tax free. Now you've got to pay 50, 60, 70% or what have you, right? Oh no, oh no. That's not going to happen without literally fighting in the streets. And it's dangerous to even consider that. And there are thinkers in Washington and in other governments, state governments, that think that this is something that they could pull off. And my word is, you better not try it. You want change, that's fine. Let's have an intelligent discussion. But let's look at certain things. I mean, like this whole issue of right versus privilege, okay? Here's something I was thinking about. Suppose science comes up in the next year or two with a discovery that enables a reasonably healthy human being to double their lifespan, okay? But in order to do this, it's going to cost $25,000. Right? Now, Medicare is not going to deal with this because really it doesn't have anything to do with one's health. It's a matter of expanding. And besides, healthcare couldn't cover it. Couldn't afford it. $25,000 per person. So now, what do we do? What happens then? What happens to this right? I mean, do we then try and break the bank and say, well, hey, listen, there's people out there who can't afford this. They're entitled to it. Or is it a right? I mean, think about that, folks. And that may not be too far off. Recently, there have been some discoveries about longevity and whatnot. Kurzweil, the famous computer futurist, has said that within 10 or 15 years we'll be able to have computers inserted into our different systems and correct it, and we'll be able to live for 150 years, 200 years. What do we do then? How do we resolve things then? Well, I mean, I've been thinking about this, and I mean, I have some ideas, and I'd like to engage you people and see what ideas you would come up with. If we were going to replace capitalism, what would be fair? How would it work? I mean, could we have something, for instance, whereby up to 18 years of age, your parents or your guardians or whoever have to take care of you, okay? And then from 18 years of age on, you have to, for the next, let's say, 12 years, right, 15 years, you have to declare what it is you're going to do with your life and how much you expect the government to take care of you, right? So you're going to go to med school, and it's going to take 10 years. And it's going to cost $300,000. Okay? You have a contract with America. $300,000 in 10 years. You get your $300,000, you get your checks every month, you pay your bills and everything else. But at the end, you got to pay back like a mortgage. You got to pay that $300,000 with interest. Good interest, 6-7% by today's standards, right? So that your fellow Americans, not the government, your fellow Americans will be sustained as well. I mean, you know, just an idea. I'm not saying that's the way it should go. All right, so I'm carrying on here, and let's get on to some other stuff here, okay? For instance, this Strait of Hormuz. Now, look, let me tell you something. These people over there may be nuts, but they're not stupid, okay? There's no way that they are going to take on the United States, the United Kingdom, and France in a battle in Hormuz. They know they can't win that battle, right? There's got to be something grandeur. So I don't expect that there's going to be something going on there in the sense of confrontation. The issue about the bomb, the nuclear issue, is something else, and that may well happen. And there is a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try and stop Israel, as well as to try and regulate or modify Iran's posture on this, which is not going to work. I mean, it didn't work. It hasn't worked since 1980 when they took over our embassy. So forget about that. We're in trouble there. There's some more problems that we're having there. Everybody seems to think that the economy is okay because the market is now, you know, making a nice run and whatnot, and things aren't as dire, and unemployment is coming down. You know, it's a fallacy. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not real, right? And the facts belie themselves. Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to mention to you also regarding Europe is look for Germany to take a hit here pretty soon, downgrading or something like that. It's gonna be coming within the next 30 to 45 days. As far as this week is concerned, we have a move. There's a 71% chance of the Dow moving up. The date is January 24th. And silver on the 25th is a 66% chance of a move on that. It looks like it's an up move. Silver, don't ask me. I mean, we see a pretty strong pattern that's knocking it down. It was scheduled for the 21st. There may be a reversal on this, and this call on the 25th, as I said, it looks like a 66% chance it's going to go up. It may be going down. We're still short, and we're taking our hits here. And we're going to wait until the 25th, which is Wednesday, and see what happens at that point to readjust my position. I have an idea as to what's been going on with these past couple of calls, which I'll share with you a little later on, perhaps the next broadcast, and has to do with these patterns falling on weekends. And I want to do some more research on this, but for now, these are our next two calls. The 24th, that's tomorrow, with a 71% chance of the Dow and the Nasdaq going up, and then Wednesday the 25th with silver possibly going up. But please watch this silver. I'm very nervous about it. I think we're in a downtrend here, and I are about to enter into one, or a top. So be careful and watch what you're doing with that. And insofar as what's going on in the world, please remember we are in historic times. These are not ordinary times, folks. I know you wake up each morning and say, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How am I going to pay for this? How can I make some money here? Whatnot. Take 20 minutes in the day and think about our perspective on a historical basis, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, and look at what's going on. Things are changing dramatically, and most people won't realize it for another 5 or 10 years. Hasn't all hit yet, but it will. It's coming, folks. let's just try and be a part of it that makes it sensible and fair and equitable. Let's keep the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence. Let's keep them in line. Dr. Bob Flower, still in Arizona, and I love you guys. You're terrific. Have a good one.